Welcome to the Group Chat, a podcast hosted by Vic Kane for Pav Toure and Sunny Singh. This podcast will talk about all the things that matter, right here and now. We'll discuss and debate what's happening in popular culture, music, dating, and the craziness of everyday life. You've officially been added to the Group Chat. So, we had a discussion earlier today which randomly popped up about our education. Bit of a random topic, but we were sort of discussing the impact education has had on our lives. And of course, we're very, very fortunate to have had an education. There are a lot of people out there. But we're just sort of looking at whether the education system, does it guarantee success? Does it mean just because you've got fantastic grades that you will be a success in life? And there are a lot of sides to it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, who can actually remember what they got for GCSEs?
I can't.
Exactly.
I honestly can't.
I can remember some, the ones that mattered.
So we've all been through the British education system. We've all been to university, through secondary school, college, university.
Yeah.
And I think neither of us are in jobs where the education system or a certain degree is absolutely critical. If there's a surgeon operating on me, he'd better have a fucking degree on whatever he's operating on, you know?
Essentially that there are some occupations that need that degree. You need the years of education behind you.
So should we just go around and just say what degrees we did and then what we're actually doing now?
Go ahead,
yeah? Pav, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I did biomedical science at university, and I'm an accountant.
I had no idea. I had no idea you did biomedical science.
Yeah, I did biomedical science because at the time...
What is that? That's like cancer research and...
Yeah, it's the laboratory work that goes on behind... So, for example, you guys go to the hospital, you might have like a blood test done or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the biomedical scientist that actually does all the testing on it.
Right.
It's just the doctor that does the final diagnosis. So you might come with me and say, oh, here's a liver sample. I'll do the testing and say, oh, I think he's got liver damage. But the doctor will then be the final one to say, yeah, he has liver damage.
Okay, got
So
you.
it's the person that basically does the testing, and it splits into different, like you can have hematology, which specializes in blood, and then you'll have like different sub-departments of
Got
it.
you.
And then some people, like Sunny said, they'll go into cancer. You can do like when people get types of cancer, they do the testing on it to confirm it's cancer or research into cancer. That's what it's all about.
So you went from that to finance.
Yeah, I wanted to change my career. I decided that actually finance was better for me.
Interesting.
Yeah. What about you guys?
So I did visual communication. It's the fancy term for graphic design.
Mm-hmm.
It's very broad. Not really art and design. It's kind of a different thing, but essentially that's what I did. And my class where I went to uni in Birmingham was full of a whole different range of like creatives. So there were some animators, there were some painters, there were some photographers, and artists like myself. But again, it's like we weren't really all put into one. We were basically put into one category. Rather, all those things are very, very much different. But yeah, visual communication. That's graphic design. That's what I did.
And Sunny?
So I did a business and marketing degree, and now I'm a marketing manager for a technology company. So I kind of did what I did at I'm doing what I did at uni, but I will be the first one to say you didn't need to go to university to understand how marketing works.
Interesting.
I think I remember working with a young girl who we hired at my old job, and she was 19. She didn't go to university. She had done an apprenticeship in, I can't remember, something to do with marketing. She was brilliant.
we know some friends who have not gone to uni and only done apprenticeships.
Yeah. So I kind of question what was sort of the benefit.
Bless you, Sonny.
Sorry, hay fever.
By the way, just pointing out, I was actually told prior to my going in for my 3-year degree that I couldn't get into university unless I did a foundation course. So I got set a year behind everyone else essentially for my age, because I had to do a year sort of like taster course of a bunch of different things, and that was in London. So it's pretty interesting. I had to build up my portfolio to get into a university.
So you had to sit exams for it, right?
No exams.
Oh, no exams. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's just more about whether you would be able to cope with the university degree. That's why I assume that's why they do a foundation course.
I think also just to kind of open up people's minds a little bit more, because during a foundation course I did a lot of things that I thought I wouldn't like end up making, like sculpturing or doing stop motion, and just playing around with loads of different creative ideas and experimenting. That's essentially what that year was all about before going into my degree.
So, just a few things I want to cover here. I think there are multiple aspects to the question whether education guarantees success or the education system guarantees success. Now, we all know there are so many role models out there that have dropped out of university and they're now probably the richest people in the world with enormous businesses that employ people who perhaps got straight A's at university.
Alan Sugar is one of them.
Yeah, Bill Gates,
Mark Zuckerberg.
Exactly. So that begs the question, and I think it's a wider thing. It's not just about education. I think education is very, very important, and in theory, education is supposed to be your route out of poverty into prosperity. Like, if you are from a disadvantaged background, the way to get out of that is through education, in theory. But I also think there's so much more that you need from the education system that will help you become successful in life. Because I fundamentally believe just because you've got straight A's does not mean you're going to have the skills needed to lead, the skills to network, the skills to be creative, depending on what you got your straight A's in. For example, I work in tech, and with technology you have developers. And developers and people who code are incredibly intelligent.
For sure.
They're so smart. But some of those, because they were very introverted, and I'm not saying introverted people cannot lead, I'm just saying they lacked the interpersonal skills because they were so engrossed into what they're doing. And I think those people will never become leaders because they don't know how to lead. They can do the job, but they can't inspire, they can't create a vision, and they can't motivate people.
I think fundamentally the education system is just all about how well you can regurgitate information into an exam. That's you spend the whole semester or the whole year preparing for an exam, preparing for life. I think that's part of the problem. So, and some people just, find it easier to remember stuff than others. That's literally always, but that doesn't define you as a person. That doesn't define you as what your career is going to be like, and if you're going to have a poor career or a good career. And that's what's frustrating, because they put so much emphasis on, you need good grades from your exams. And so then people, like Sonny rightfully said, those who aren't good at remembering stuff, and because people's minds are different. Some people are visual learners, some people are they learn through reading, and there's different types of learners. And so it's just not balanced, and it's not fair that everyone has to read from a textbook and then sit an exam. And again, you're just regurgitating information.
So I think what you were trying to say is that there's visual learners and there's practical learners as well, to actually do something and learn by actually doing it.
I'm one of those people where I learn more hands-on than I do reading a book. But I don't know what the education system is like now. I think it's slightly changing, but it's still not quite there yet. But my whole life in the education system was read a textbook, remember as much as you can, because you have an exam in 2-3 weeks time. And if you pass the exam and you were able to regurgitate that information, on to the next one you go. Otherwise,
but is this exam going to help you when you go into the real world?
No, it doesn't. I don't even remember what was on the exam.
It's like, look at a driving test. A driving test does not prepare you for, like, I remember doing my lessons and he was like, you don't need to do this. My instructor used to tell me, you don't need to do this in real life, but you do need to do it for the exam. What's the point?
Yeah, it's so strange. And the other issue that I had with the whole thing was, they put so much emphasis from when you're a child that, you need to get good grades because you need to go to a good college and then go to a university. But because you need to...
And that your core subjects matter so much more than anything else. Maths, science and English.
Yeah, and it's annoying because that's actually not the case.
It's not,
a mechanic doesn't necessarily need to ace those skills, for example. And the thing is, even if you're not good at exams, in accounting, for example, you can drop out of school. You can drop out of school and still get into accounting because a company might take you on as an apprentice, and then they'll pay for you to. You'll have to do exams, but it's on the job training, and so that's how I would have learned a lot better. And someone like me who did biomedical science at university and then gone into accounting, that's exactly what I've had to do. And all of my education years, they were told, you have to, whatever you do in your degree is what you're going to go into, and that's just not the case.
And who's telling you this? Is this family?
No, this is the actual teachers.
These are teachers that get told.
And it's frustrating because they put so much pressure on you, and you think, well, actually, what happens if I don't like it? But I'm stuck. I'm going to have to do it.
Well, I think because obviously teachers have quotas and KPIs that they need to adhere to in order to, continue teaching. So they need to push you to doing a to achieve a certain grade, like a percentage of the class needs to achieve a certain grade. But there's something you did touch on there, Pav, and I think it's family pressure. Family pressure plays a massive part in the choices we make, and on various parts of our lives, not just education. I know so many people who have gone into being a doctor because that's what their Indian dad said they need to be. But no, Vic, I know you embody this, and if you've not listened to this song, it's called The Incredible True Story, and it absolutely just tells you that what you need to be doing is doing whatever your passion is, whatever it is you want to do in life. Granted,
without the care for money, because the money will come and go regardless. Whatever you choose to do, as long as you have a passion and love for it, that will come naturally.
Like, Pav, I know you genuinely enjoy finance and accounting, but there are people out there that work ridiculous hours just for the paycheck.
Yeah.
But then to work ridiculous hours and not to spend their money on the things they actually want to do. And it's kind of like a lost opportunity of what potential did this person actually have, and you get this opportunity once. It's not a joke. And the same with the podcast, I didn't have the know-how, or maybe I just didn't have, I just wasn't in the stage of my life where I wanted to start a podcast. But damn, I want to do it because I'm never going to get a chance to do this again.
I think it's also a matter of parents wanting to convince their kids to feel stable and financially stable, and to do that you have to have these specific jobs or be one of these specific occupations that would make sure that they have enough money for the rest of their lives.
On that point, I am very grateful that my parents did push me to achieve, but they were very relaxed on the approach.
Like they trusted you on what you would end up
choosing. They kind of said, look, if you don't smash it, it's fine, but try really hard and make sure you do stuff that you enjoy, but whatever you do, make sure you enjoy it. Like I was comfortable enough to go to my parents and say, hey, I don't think I'm going to pass this exam. I feel overwhelmed and I'm struggling. I don't think I'm going to pass this exam. And I remember my mum going, that's fine. If you fail it, it's okay.
But do you feel like there's this underlying thing where parents would be like, oh, they don't want to end up telling their next auntie about their kid's occupation not being as good as theirs?
Exactly, and there's a sense of sort of inter-family competition, and I've got relatives that I know go through this. I thankfully haven't, because I don't have any first of all siblings my age. They're all older or younger, but I also have no cousins my age either. I am a lost child. But it does, I just think it's ridiculous that we do things for the sake of other people, and even if we do those things that's required of us, there's still something found that would like have a go at us for. Even if we do whatever we do to make them happy. I respect anyone who's a doctor. I respect the level of intellect required to be a doctor. I respect the level of determination and self-discipline required to be a doctor. And I also respect the ability for somebody to look at a person almost objectively and to take out the emotion for a second.
Yeah.
And think, okay, this person's dying. What are the logical steps I need to take in order to save this person's life?
Yeah.
However, is it still true that doctors have the highest suicide rate? I don't know, but apparently it is incredibly high. But my point being, yes, there's a level of prestige that comes with being a doctor. And I mean medical doctor, not like a doctor in psychology or human resource or whatever. I mean a surgeon is what I'm looking at. And yes, there's a level of prestige that comes with that. Yes, down the line there is a financial reward for being a doctor, but junior doctors, and this isn't to discourage anybody in wanting to go into that field. Please, if you genuinely have a passion for it, go for it. But I personally would not ever choose that life, because you're constantly dealing with an incredibly stressful job where you're on call all the time. You have to get out of bed at crazy hours sometimes, where there are other people making lots of money doing stuff they actually enjoy,
which I think is more important. Like, being happy about what you're doing on a daily is a big part of self-growth and knowing that what you're doing on a daily is something that you're passionate about, and honestly I feel like having education isn't always the key to someone's success. It is very much dependent. Like, we are humans, we are amazing, we have the ability to create things and be so imaginative and think beyond, but we're made to think with a closed mind or with limitations because of media or because of the system that we're born into, right? So we have to break away from that, and I feel like nowadays more than ever people are breaking away from that and becoming, literally, you can turn anything into a job these days and you don't need an education to do it.
And I think technology does play a big part in there, because people are able to do so much more with a very, very low level of investment. Like, if you look at you, for example, Vic, I don't know for sure, but thinking about this 20 years ago, in order for you to get your name out there, you'd have to pay for newspaper adverts.
Yeah.
You have to,
I can't tell you how many grands I've spent on doing exhibitions that have no physical outcome, but connections with networking and learning.
And that's a very old school way of doing it. That's a very traditional way. Now your gallery is Instagram.
Yeah, essentially, yes. That's my portfolio.
And
that's what someone would go and see and say, I want to hire this guy.
Yeah, and you have a pool of people, your audience. You have millions of people out there. So I think we've kind of like, I think we've just let this discussion go, but I think
we're still on skimming level of this. Like there's so much in-depth detail into why education is good for it, like the system is good as well, and what it contributes to someone's success. The basic things that we learn that we still implement today that we probably won't realize that we implement, you know, mannerisms, the way that we speak to other people, the way that we actually hold ourselves up as well.
Yeah, I think the education system is good in the sense, obviously, you know, reading, writing, numbers, all that kind of stuff. You have to learn, so it's good from that sense.
Yeah, I'm not knocking that side of it.
I think what's frustrating from my point of view is they don't teach you the stuff that matters in life.
That's what a lot of people pick up on.
They don't teach you about tax. They don't teach you about, you know, how to mortgages and you know how to.
You only learn how to open your own business during A level.
Yeah, well, they do business studies to an extent. I mean, I don't know what
but that's during A levels. Before this,
you can get business studies at GCSE.
Okay.
But it's annoying because they don't teach you, you know, how to deal with money. How do you use your money?
Do you know how many? When I first got a current account, and when I started actually spending. When I got a job and I actually started spending, do you know how many times I went over my overdraft limit because nobody ever taught me that if you continue spending, they will fine you £25 every transaction.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and I remember being on the phone to my bank saying, "Hey, I actually didn't know," and they did. They were very, very sympathetic, and they did, you know, void a lot of the charges, but. As stupid and naive as that may sound now, I had no idea because nobody ever taught me.
Yeah, and it's just something that maybe they need to start implementing in the education system. Like, teach us the stuff that's going to matter when you come out of school.
Nowadays, I mean, sorry to cut you off.
No.
Like, my mum works in a school, and I know that they have a library, but they are full of iPads as well. There's so much technology that's put into these schools now. Like, kids are learning from playing on apps, or you know, these devices that cost a hell of a lot of money. You know, and back when we were in that position, what were we using? Textbooks, I guess. Simple.
Well, I used to have interactive whiteboards. You know, the interactive whiteboard.
The OHP.
Those are the big things.
Exactly.
You know, when your teacher wheeled in a cart with a television on it, it was going to be a banging lesson.
That's the one. Yeah, with the big fat TV. Yeah. But sorry, Pav, I totally cut you off.
No. I was just going to say, like, just to touch up on what I was saying before, like, it's annoying because they don't teach you that kind of stuff. That's one issue that I have. And the second issue is they don't tell you that, actually, do you know what, guys, it's okay if you don't go to university, providing you have a clear route. And there are alternatives out there. Like, you know, if you're not good at exams, it's fine. Like, you can do a course that's a bit more, you know, hands-on.
Yeah.
But again, even when I was at college, and they were like, you know, you're going to have to go to university and you're going to have to get these grades and do this and do this, and it's just like, well, actually, no, it's not.
Do you think that they make it okay to? No, actually, they don't. Sorry, I'm trying to kind of articulate what I'm saying is. Do they make it clear enough that failure is also okay as well?
No, they don't.
They don't, right?
They don't. No.
And imagine what toll that takes on a lot of kids at that age.
So
that you have to be 100% successful at everything.
But I understand why they say that as well, because they put enough pressure on the student to keep them focused, to get them through. Otherwise, kids would just go off the rails.
You don't have self-discipline, that is true.
Yeah, they'll just go off the rails and they'll think, oh, you know what, it doesn't matter if I fail, I can find a job when I leave school, it's not a big deal. So to avoid that, they kind of put that pressure on you, which I understand. But it's frustrating because there are kids and students that actually, like, they're well behaved and they're not going to go off the rails, and at least they deserve to know, you know, that it's okay to fail and you'll still be okay. But I guess you can't balance both. It's a bit difficult.
So, just on my earlier point about how what I did in university is not sort of relevant now, I just don't want to brush over the point where university did teach me a lot. It taught me a lot that wasn't on my curriculum, but it taught me things like secondary things. So it taught me how to research. It taught me how to improve the way I write. It taught me how to network. It taught me how to deal with confrontation. It taught me how to deal with a hangover. It taught me
We've
money
all been there.
management. It taught me. I had a car and I used to drive to work. It taught me how to run and look after my car. It taught me how to parallel park.
Okay, yeah.
So
I
don't want to
which one
knock
of you
university.
actually left? You guys both lived at home.
Yeah, so we lived at home. And just on that, if I could go back and do uni again, and hindsight's a beautiful thing, I would live out. Because I think it teaches you so much and it develops you so much quicker as a person to stand up on your own feet than it does.
But my question to you would be, is it worth the 9,000 students have to pay this year? As in going for 9,000 a year? Because when we went, it was 3,000 a year. And you think, well, 9,000 on uni fees.
That's just for the course.
So,
exactly.
Living out is extra.
As somebody...
grants, which I have to pay back, and I'm still paying it back.
As somebody who worked for student finance and used to do those... Do you remember when we used to go around and do speeches at schools for student finance? So as somebody who understands the new, well, it's not new anymore, but the new increase in student tuition, student finance is the cheapest loan you'll ever get in your life. If you don't pay it after 30 years, it gets written off.
Oh, which is fine. But...
You're never going to get a loan like that. I pay my student loan back out of my salary at work. I honestly don't feel it. So it's probably more beneficial for you to gain an experience than for you to worry about money, because that time and your adolescence and your youth, you're never going to get that time back. That 9,000, you probably will make that back.
No, but you're paying 9,000 over 3 years. These people are paying 9,000 per year, so they're paying £27,000 in just.
I still think it's worth it because the student loan, conditions still apply. Nothing's going to change. You're going to be paying it back longer, but if you haven't paid it after 30 years, it gets written off.
Again, though, the uni experience is
Spend the
important.
money.
However, it does again depend on your future occupation and what you want to go into.
If you get no job, it gets written off.
I'm going to sit here and say that actually it's not worth it purely because. I was one of those lucky ones where I could stay at home and still live the uni experience. I had friends that went to Birmingham. I had friends that went to Leicester. During their reading week, during my reading week, they were still at university, so I used to just go up there for a week. I still got the experiences of, the pre-sessions in the flat, going to all the student nights. I got all of that. But I saved myself a whole bunch of money because I didn't need to live out. I had all the luxuries at home.
Yeah, which is great. I think to have that, the best of both worlds. You're living at home. You've got your family around you. You've got food made for you.
Yeah.
I guess as well. For me, I guess I'm the only one out of us three who did live out, because I wasn't expecting to go to Birmingham. This is just the whole thing.
You said
happening. Yeah.
At least you didn't come back with a Birmingham accent.
Oh,
Sorry to anybody who's got a Birmingham
if you came accent.
Mate, trust me, I do not like the Birmingham accent.
I don't understand why we cuss the Birmingham accent.
When
there's a Bradford
Manchester,
accent.
Yeah,
there's a Bradford accent.
Did you see the meme? You saw the meme. Yes, you saw the meme. I saw the meme as well. Don't worry.
And I was like, that is so true. Because there's a Bradford accent out there.
So essentially, yes. So if anyone doesn't know, I tried to apply to London universities and I got declined from every single graphic design university in London. This is University Arts of London. They all declined me because of my portfolio not being vast enough. I had a lot of digital artworks that I was showing in my portfolio and they didn't like that. So I was one of the last people to be paying $3,000 a year and got selected through clearance to go to Birmingham. So it was very unexpected for me to go to Birmingham and unplanned. But again, went there. My first year was a bit rocky, as I think most people's are. It depends who you're around as well. For me, the second year was where I really found my feet, with the friends that I found, learning and doing Bhangra with people that I just met, and it was great. My third year was great, and that was a big growth moment for me when I experienced things like having to kind of like gauge where my creativity was going, and what sort of like direction I was going in, because if anyone doesn't know, I also graduated with a third. That does not define what I do now.
Really?
I graduated with a third. That's probably the worst you can, I guess. You got first, you got 1, 2,
Two,
and then
one,
you got
1, 2.
yeah, two whatever it is.
That explains the third.
Whatever it is, and then yeah, I got a third, and you know what? I'm still proud of that, because I've essentially felt like that didn't define what I'm capable of in the future. You know,
Look at you now.
yeah, exactly, and I
King.
tell this to all of the younger artists who are looking to go to uni. I tell them it's not necessary, but if you go into it, you know you're gonna get judged, you're gonna get graded, and I don't believe that you should. But doing this, and while living out, it had a big mental effect on me, not wanting to go to uni, get out of my bed and even walk 5 minutes to go to my lecture, you know. But I appreciate the fact that I got to really live that life out away from home, even though I came home probably every other
I
week.
I think education is important. I think there are skills.
There
that
is
you need to
importance,
develop.
but again, the question is it important to someone's success? Because what is success?
So I think through education, you do learn vital skills. You learn how to do the basics. You learn how to develop on them, and perhaps depending on your career choice, you do really, really leverage. Like if you're a mathematician, or if you're a scientist, or if you're, if you're a writer, these things really do develop in your adolescence and through your education. But fundamentally, even if you do get the A's, that means nothing without being intuitive, having the confidence to speak up, having a strong self-esteem, which is not taught.
Having the willingness to really gain what you want to get.
Having the desire, having the vision.
That is it. So success is so I've got this definition up. Success is the achievement of something desired.
Okay.
And this comes back to our favorite song, the end of that quote. What do you desire? And it's and that's how it ends.
A quote by Alan Watts.
By Alan Watts, a great philosopher. And that question leaves you, I don't know, it gives me goosebumps, because it constantly keeps you motivated, you know, to want to think, what do I desire? What do I want to be successful in next? What do I want to achieve and put my mind to, you know, and focus on?
And I think in order to achieve what you desire, it's not just about education. It's about having the non-tangible skills that aren't in a curriculum, having skills that, you know, like being able to speak up, like I said earlier, or having the confidence to think about something out of the box, or being intuitive enough to come up with a plan and present it, or creativity. Like creativity sometimes cannot be taught.
I remember when I was at school, pretty young, there were some kids who were so closed up, didn't even want to speak, didn't want to raise their hands in a classroom. But now, if I see them on Facebook, they are the most talkative, like, you know, craziest people, like extroverts now, you know, like fully out there. And essentially there is some sort of change that's happened there. You know, there's a big development of like coming out from school. Maybe they learned something during being at school that made them want to connect and be more sociable people in the future.
Yeah, I think some people can just come out their shells a little later.
Yeah. Everyone's got different
perhaps school just didn't work, and perhaps you were in sport. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Formula One. These Formula One drivers are born and bred to be Formula One drivers. They start karting competitively they start karting from like the age of 8 or around there, and then they start being competitive karters or karting drivers from like the age of 13-14 to win championships. And Max Verstappen, who now drives for Red Bull and is a serious contender for a championship, he joined Formula One when he was 17 years old. In his country, he couldn't even get a driver's license.
That's mad.
And he was in a top team in the elite driving squad. So I think change your vision. Like, open your mind up to what you could achieve, because if you narrow yourself and you are not small-minded or simple-minded, but if you say my goal is to get a job in whatever and do that, you limit yourself. You know, your limits are really yourself. If you can think out of the box and you can really expand your reach, there is honestly absolutely nothing that you cannot do.
Yeah, nothing can stop you. But so essentially, Sonny, are you saying that you can do what you want, but is education a vital part of that process?
I think education is important to build the foundations of success, but education is not a guarantee of success, and not in a million years.
And Pav's big point is the fact that because we don't get taught the things that we would really need to know for the future, right?
Yeah, I just think that's where there's a slight flaw in it.
But it's a knock-on effect as well. In the education system, they teach you how to read and understand and type. With those skills, you can go away and find the book that teaches you the thing that you're searching for.
No,
if it is
everyone still has the ability
if it
to
is
think for
taxation,
themselves.
go look it up. Which is the other side, which is a caveat to what we just said.
But then my argument is, if we're having to, but why teach us things that are irrelevant to us, like Pythagoras theorem? How many of you guys use Pythagoras theorem?
Okay, so I guess my answer to that generally is because it's generalized to like there's so many kids, you know. How do you know what a specific kid wants to be in the future? Even though they ask you, like, sometimes in a little like questionnaire thing or whatever, what would you like to be in the future? Everyone could say a total different thing, but essentially they give you the base skills and
foundations, right?
What can fit everyone.
And that's exactly what I'm saying.
But at that age, at 16, you're not defining your career, surely.
But you are a sponge. Like, you absorb so much information.
But then surely, like, for example, say you want to become a mathematician and Pythagoras theorem is something that you need in your career. I'm not saying you do, but you do. But then surely it'd be better to learn that when you get to college or university or whatever it is. There's no need to learn it at secondary school.
But the argument is you don't
is,
know what you don't know.
Yeah.
What if you do like Pythagoras theorem and you never knew about it because no one ever taught you?
No, but what I'm saying to you is if you need it in your job, you'd learn it eventually.
It's never too late, basically, and I think that a lot of the time.
I just think there's certain things they should teach, and there's certain things that they don't need to teach.
Yeah,
it's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we do often get pressured to think that we know what we want to be at a certain age.
Yeah, I think it's way too early.
Which is terrible. I think, like,
that's very true.
Yeah,
at the age of 16, 17, you're making life decisions to what subjects you should do at university or whether you should go at university.
And you don't know enough about life to make that decision of what you want
Yeah, exactly. Like, you guys know me pretty well, and I'm the kind of person that doesn't even plan like my next week, if anything, you know. And that's me. Just like I always say, is I love just trusting my flow and going with what you have, because the next day is never guaranteed. I know that's a bit dark to think about, but it's true. Also, you know, like your whole mindset and your likes and dislikes can change drastically from watching something on the internet these days or seeing someone else
or
do
being
what you want to do.
influenced by your favorite celebrity.
Exactly.
Or,
yeah.
You know, like I definitely know that. There are celebrities out there that have influenced my choices in life. Or
Gary Vee says this all the time.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do, but trust me, you don't have to have it figured out by like 25 or
30,
18 or
like
30 or 40,
we
whatever.
look at some of the most successful entrepreneurs in our history, and a lot of them did not start their businesses or leave their boring, mundane jobs until some of them were 40 and 60.
Absolutely.
So I think we've discussed a lot here.
Yeah.
And I think we should probably summarize. So for me, I'm saying education is important. It builds the foundations and gives you the skill set you need to build upon later.
Yeah.
But it's down to you as an individual to seek out certain skills and develop on them, in order to make sure that you're not restricting yourself to certain areas of working, I guess I want to say. Like, don't restrict yourself to being a lawyer, being in finance, being a doctor.
Yeah.
There are so many extraordinary jobs out there.
Definitely.
You know, and okay, you have engineering, but then you've got dam engineering, you've got building engineering, you've got bridges, you've got aeroplanes, you've got motorsports, you've got cars. What about competitive, I don't know, you know, weapons or competitive racing? So
that's essentially what I was told about art as well. You can be an art director, you can be
anything. Exactly.
A scene creator, you know, everything. Like, there's so many different avenues that you can go down with something that you love to do.
So educate yourself.
Yeah.
Don't let education restrict you.
Keep your doors open.
Yeah. But also, don't listen to people who are narrow-minded.
Yeah.
And don't let them make you narrow-minded. Don't listen to people who can't think big enough.
Yeah.
And don't let anyone ever tell you that your dreams are too big.
If they're probably telling you that you can't do it, it's probably because they lack that self-ability of doing it themselves.
Exactly.
That's always a big factor to take away from it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think education is important. Don't listen to anybody else. Do what you want to do. But here's a food for thought. Here's something that I abide by. The average age of someone is 80. You die at the age of 80, maybe. You spend maybe the first 16 to 18 years in education. That leaves you with what? 42 years, give or take?
Mm-hmm.
And you retire at 67, whatever it is. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. But don't be that person that just works your whole life.
Yes.
You know, you're working your whole life for that 13 years of freedom at the end, you know, between the ages of 67 and 80.
Because it might not even come.
It might not come, yeah.
Big believer.
Do what you want to do, and find other sources, find multiple sources of income is what I say. And they're not going to teach you that in the education system. Don't rely on the education system.
If you're going to do that, don't be a half-ass about it. Make sure you're putting your complete and utter devotion into what it is you want.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
And if you fail, it's fine.
Fail well with like
dignity.
the most be proud of those things that would really build you up.
I'm going to bring it back to Formula 1 for a second.
Go on.
I really miss Formula 1 right now. Niki Lauda. For those of you who don't know who Niki Lauda is, Niki Lauda was a really famous racer in, I'm going to say 70s. I can't remember, 70s I think. And he was famous for not having a really fierce rivalry with a British racer called James Hunt. And Niki Lauda is famously known for crashing at the Nürburgring circuit and his car being engulfed in flames. And he was in 800 degree heat for like, I don't know what this figure is, like a minute. To the point where his ear and all of his hair on his head had melted off. 40 days later, he was in a race car, racing again.
Mad.
To the point where that race, when the race ended, he took off his helmet and his balaclava was soaked in blood. Now, Niki Lauda was a non-executive chairman at Mercedes Petronas AMG, and he is the very reason Lewis Hamilton drives for Mercedes.
Sick.
And he won a Lifetime Achievement Award, and one of the things he said was, this award is dedicated not to the winners but to the losers, because in losing is when I've learnt the most, and it's losing that's helped me progress the most in my life.
That's dope. There's key there.
Deep.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, let's wrap this up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the In the Group Chat podcast. We would love to hear your comments and feedback on this session. It's been a bit of a candid conversation that's perhaps deviated off a bit, but I think it's been really, really interesting. Thank you for listening, guys. This is us out.